everybody, and welcome to Middle-Aged Geeks. I'm one of your hosts, Daz, and this is my trusty co-host, Phil. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. Hello, all. Yeah, pretty good. It's anytime the weather picks up a bit, my mood picks up a bit. It's nice to not be fucking freezing me bollocks off for a change.
It's great, isn't it?
Sunny day, lovely sunny day out walking the dog yesterday in the park. Yes, spring is starting to spring is starting to spring. And I'm doing well. What about yourself?
Good, man. Likewise. Bit of sunshine, and I say sunshine, anyone who's not living in Ireland, by sunshine we mean it hit double figures. We're in like 11 degrees after 25 years of fucking 4 degrees, it seems. Long winter. But it's great to get out in the fucking sunshine. But yeah, this week we are going to get stuck into a bit of news, and then instead of what we've played and watched this week, because we have kind of watched next to nothing and played fuck all, we're going to have a look at some of the Oscar nominations that's if you're listening to this on Monday, it's the Oscars are on tonight, but we are recording this over the weekend, so we'll do our Oscar kind of review maybe next week. So we'll touch on some of the nominations, what we think will win and should win. And then we will get stuck into our main event this week with next to nothing in the cinema that we wanted to see. We had the lovely chance to watch Highlander 2: The Quickening.
I'm both blaming and dedicating this episode to Matthew. It was Matthew, wasn't it? Yeah. You got in the US, because this is what put the idea to our heads. I'll have to do that again at some point. And when we were struggling this week to think of something to do, I was like, didn't we mention we do Highlander 2? And boy, do I regret it. We should have picked it. I forgot how bad this was. I saw this like decades ago and just forgot how bad it was. Atrocious.
Mind-numbingly bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks Phil for suggesting this, and he's going to take us through this, and I'm just going to laugh my ass off in the background. So before we get stuck into that, then let's get into some news this week. Anything tickling your fancy?
Like a little bit. There's obviously the sad news about the passing of Gene Hackman and Michelle Trachtenberg. It was actually mad because I was rewatching House, which I love, and she popped up in an episode. I'm like, God, I haven't seen her in anything in ages. And I went on and just checked her on IMDb, and just happened to be that day. And then I just saw the news, I think, popped up that she was dead, had just died, and news was just being released at that time. Weird. But no, I was a fan of hers. Thought she was great in Buffy, and yeah, apparently she was hilarious in real life. And Gene Hackman, of course, what a legend. And obviously we're still waiting for the full circumstances about the death of him and his wife and one of their dogs and what exactly happened there. But God, what a powerhouse. The amount of incredible performances by him. He's astonishing. Like, and just the fact that he, when he retired in 2004, like I think it was 2004, like he properly just said retired. There's no like, oh, I'm coming back. He went, no, fuck that. And he went out. I can't remember his last movie. It was like a movie with an animated dog or some shit like that. So he kind of probably did that movie and went, yeah, fuck this shite. But 5-time Oscar nominated, 2-time winner. Like, it just one of the all-time greats. But 95. Like, it's sad to hear a legend passing like that. But 95, you're going, that's pretty fucking good going. And he was still getting about. Like, he was still like fairly spry. And like plenty of photos of him out doing his walks and stuff. And people were going, Jesus, can you believe that's Gene Hackman? Because no one's fucking seen him for decades. And he's obviously slimmed right down as he got older and stuff. But he was still fully spry at 95. Fucking please God, we're all that way.
Absolutely.
But I remember, I remember probably my first kind of memory of him really is watching Superman as a kid, and
absolutely,
he was amazing, and just that whole vibe of being able to, he could easily pull off like being a bad guy, or he could be the good guy. He could be hilariously funny. He really could buy him. He's really someone he could sell you on anything. I loved him. I absolutely loved him.
Yeah, I think he's most people's Lex Luthor.
Yeah,
it's really hard. There's different iterations, different Superman, and all these different characters, but he's still. No one has touched his Lex Luthor for me because, as you say, it's the first proper villain I really ever saw, and the kind of, I guess, relatable villain. There, he wasn't a super villain; he's just a bad dude, but a witty, wise, clever, bad dude. But then, like, Unforgiven is one of the most powerhouse performances you fucking ever see. in a movie is astonishing. But then, French Connection before that, like, you could just go on and on. Like, one of my favorites, Enemy of the State with Will Smith. Like, I
Yeah.
love that movie. Crimson Tide, another one that he's in, but like Tenenbaums
I,
is just the one where you showcase his
Tenenbaums
dry
is
wit.
incredible,
Like,
and this is, but then you've got his kind of oh god, uncomfortable comedy as well. Like if you look at it in the Birdcage, when he's and it's just it's absolutely he's hilarious in it, and it's just like that. He's just you'll buy him in anything, and it's just he's always putting everything in. He really knows what movie he's in, like what kind of way way it needs to be played. And Roald Tenenbaums, that character, obviously, Wes Anderson is great for writing characters, but he just made that character, and he's
fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. Anything else?
Not really a massive amount on news wise. I think the only one I wanted to mention was the Earth or Alien Earth, which is
we're
getting there was another just extended trailer. Saying we're getting the full trailer next week. I think on the 8th of March. We get the full trailer for that, which is good. And then the last one is one we both wanted to talk about, and that is Kathleen Kennedy stepping down. Not with immediate effect though. Sure, it's not. She says she's still
at the end of the year. So
yeah, but she's continuing on with. She's stepping down his head, but she's continuing on with a lot of the projects. Like she's still involved in the Mandalorian movie and all that kind of stuff. But for a lot of people, this is like a ding dong, the witch is dead kind of moment. Like.
Yeah, she's it's a strange one because, like, from a producer's point of view, people would not that you'd be well up to date with like kind of producers when you're watching movies as a kid, like but E.T. and Indiana Jones and like Gremlins and all these movies, all these fucking Inner Space, Back to the Future. Like she was a producer in all these movies, getting them over the line, getting them made. And it's just in recent times, just it's mainly the entire shit show that Star Wars has become. Is just a bit of a disaster, just poor decisions. Like people always say, like a good studio head has like they have many things that they need to be good at, but the two main things are hiring the right showrunners and directors for shows, greenlighting the right shows, but also having a clear plan of, like, Kevin Feige does it really well at Marvel, or up to 2019, had a clear roadmap and just hired everything, and everything just fell into place because he's really good at his fucking job. It's kind of faltering now. But Kathleen Kennedy, just one of the main things with that Star Wars kind of that new trilogy was just a lack of roadmap, or a lack of ideas where the fuck she was going. It's just like they were kind of making it up as they went along, and that's such a faux pas. That's such a fucking disastrous choice. I mean, what is it like? Apart from The Force Awakens, which I mean, she has a number of amazing credits to her name and box office, whatever, but Force Awakens still is the number one grossing domestic thing in movie in America, with like 940 million or something. I don't know, won't be beaten for a long time, but after that it's kind of a shit show. But it's exciting for so many people. I guess all the wrong reasons, someone losing their job, but she just made so many poor decisions that really
I'm sure
hurt the franchise.
But I'm sure there's plenty behind. There's plenty, that for her, she is the face of it, the one getting blamed. Which I'm sure she's not solely to blame. There's plenty of people in her ear and plenty of people in the back are making decisions as well, and they're just not as public a figure as she is, and so she's getting all the blame. But I mean, I'm sure she's not at fault for all the shit that we've had to deal with. But like the amount
of shows that were greenlit, let's say by Lucasfilm. And it's just like, oh, Taika Waititi, he's doing a new Star Wars film, blah, blah, blah. And they present him on a stage somewhere, whatever. And then that just goes away. And they kept saying, there's a new trilogy from Rian Johnson. All these things they kept properly announcing with not just a blog post or something with people on stage going, I'm making a movie for Star Wars. And they all just fell apart. And then the things that did go ahead, like fucking Rise of Skywalker and shit like that.
Like the fact that the Acolyte got made at all. I mean, that's
someone got 180 fucking million to make it is astonishing. But there was one other thing then. I want to touch on, which is our long running game studios being shut down. WB Games shut down Monolith Studios that they were working on a new Wonder Woman game. These are the guys that made the fantastic Middle-earth Shadow of War.
Yeah.
And this game was announced, I think, in 2021, and we heard nothing for it for 3 years. And then WB Games came out and went, yeah, we're not really going ahead with that. That's been shut down. And we're shutting down the game studio as well. Just like, for fuck's sake. They
But that
shut down
whole, I
two
love
of them.
that whole Nemesis kind of
The
system that they
Nemesis
had in
system.
those games. It's just brilliant.
Yeah, and
They're,
Monolith had that's trademarked and patented until I think 2035 or something like that. So no one can use that Nemesis system, which was only really showcased in those two games.
yeah.
Which was phenomenal. The way that like enemies had tier systems, and it just it was fantastic. But they also shut down W Games San Diego and Player First game studios. Player First were I think they worked on Multiverses, that kind of game that came out and was really good in beta, and then kind of fell off a cliff where they introduced money, microtransactions, and all this kind of shit. So WB Games were just on a trajectory into fucking nothing. They lost $200 million on Suicide Squad game, and they lost a further $100 million on Multiverses. Just studio execs making the wrong choices. People that don't know what they're doing. Employers have done nothing but try and make the games that they were told to, and they're losing their jobs because executives haven't a fucking clue what they're doing. But on that note, let's get on to something a bit more positive. So let's get on to our Oscar predictions. We're only going to tackle a few of those, a few categories. I'm not going to go through them all. But let's start with the actors. Actors in a leading role. So on the male side, we've got Adrian Brody, Timothy Chalamet, Coleman Domingo, Ralph Fiennes, Sebastian Stan. What's your pick there?
I loved Coleman Domingo in Sing Sing. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. I think that'll probably be my pick. I don't know if he's going to win. I think it's truthfully I haven't seen The Brutalist, but I know a lot of people are shouting for that, Adrian Brody and that. But my pick, for if it was me, I would pick Coleman Domingo.
Yeah, I think it's like Adrian Brody was winning everything up until I think last weekend that Timothy Chalamet won, I think, the SAG Awards. And generally, people who win the SAG go on to win the Oscar. But it just threw it up. So people are saying like it's either Adrian Brody, Timothy Chalamet, or Ralph Fiennes. I would go for Mr. Fiennes. I think he's one of the most talented actors on the planet that doesn't have a fucking Oscar. So I'm really hoping he wins because he's fantastic. Let's go into the actor in supporting role. We have Yura Borisov for Anora, Kieran Culkin in Real Pain, Edward Norton, Guy Pearce, and Jeremy Strong.
Ooh. Oh, God, I don't know. What about you? Who are you picking for this one?
Kieran Culkin is pretty much a shoe-in for this. I've seen A Real Pain, and he's fantastic. He is kind of playing himself, but he plays it really well.
Isn't that like I love watching all the interviews and stuff for the movies and just watching with what's his face, Jesse Eisenberg. Like he's such a dork. He's such a dork. I absolutely love it. Like he's brilliant. Like
he's so uncomfortable.
I loved his acceptance speech when he was thanking Emma Stone and stuff. And
it's really nice. Really
that was great. Yeah, no, I think I'd agree with that. Yeah.
So we got actress in leading role. Then we got Cynthia Erivo, Carla Sofia Gascon, Mikey Madison, Demi Moore, and Fernanda Torres.
I'm going for Demi Moore here. I know you're probably going for. You might be torn between Mikey Monroe.
Yeah, torn between the two of them. Mikey Madison is going to have a long and illustrious career ahead of herself. Demi Moore, this might be her one and only chance. Who knows what's going to come for her? But yeah, Demi Moore, if she wins, I'll jump off the fucking couch. I'd love her to win. Actresses in a supporting role. Then we have Monica Barbado, a complete unknown, Ariana Grande, Felicity Jones, Isabella Rossellini, and Zoe Saldana.
The thing is, I did think Zoe Saldana was great in this.
She's won everything coming up to this, every single award thing. So they're saying she's an absolute shoo-in.
Yeah, I could see her win. I think she's, like as we were saying, she's probably one of the best things about that movie, and that's I don't know. Okay, obviously it's few and far between things that are good in that movie, but I did think she was fantastic. I'd probably go for her just because I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the performance. I enjoyed her speaking majority of it, being speaking Spanish, singing Spanish, seeing that different kind of role to her. So I'd probably pick her for this.
Yeah,
What about you?
I think she just shoe in, and yeah, I wouldn't mind if she wins. I would. Ariana Grande, I absolutely loved it. Wicked. It's just one of those, she's never going to win, but I found her to be a revelation. But Zoe Saldana, I reckon, has it completely. Animated feature film. We have Flow, Inside Out 2, Memoir of a Snail, Wallace and Gromit, or The Wild Robot.
I'm going to say the Wild Robot.
Hmm.
That's that for me. I think Wallace and Gromit will probably win. I think that
Hmm.
they haven't. I'd say they'll probably win because I think it's done quite well elsewhere. But
Yeah.
for me, the Wild Robot. I think it was an incredible movie. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, Wild Robot for me, 100%. Although people are saying Flow is supposed to be excellent, but I
Okay.
don't think it's out here yet. So, cinematography then, we have The Brutalist, June Part 2, Emilia Perez. Don't know why that's in there. Maria and Nosferatu. Um,
Oof,
ooh,
that's tough between Nosferatu and Dune for me.
mm,
I like Dune is obviously very. We've mentioned it before, very underrepresented in these awards.
absolutely.
But God, I think I'll go for Nosferatu. I absolutely
Yeah,
adored that movie. I loved how it looked. I'm be very surprised if that's not my movie of the year. Towards the end,
yeah,
we'll
yeah.
see. But yeah, no, I would pick Nosferatu for this one.
I'd have to go for June Part 2. Nosferatu is stunning, but June Part 2 probably going to be the only award it fucking wins, which is ridiculous. But that movie, it's just astonishing cinematography, like how they make
Yeah.
you believe you're on another world. It's absolutely fantastic. And then let's get into the final two. Then we got directing. So we got Sean Baker for Nora, Brady Corbet for The Brutalist, James Mangold for A Complete Unknown, Jacques Audiard for Emilia Perez, or Coralie Farjou for The Substance.
I'd be going for Coralie, obviously.
Yeah.
I think like it's for especially I love that a movie like this after getting so many nominations, let
Mm,
alone awards.
yeah.
But yeah, no, that's who I'd go for. I know, as you were saying, Daz, a lot of the money seems to be on the Brutalist and stuff as well. But
Mm,
I think I would go for Coralie on this one.
yeah. Who I want to win is Carly, 1000%. But I think it's probably between Sean Baker and Brady. The Brutalist or Nora, I think,
Yeah,
are one of them's going to
probably. Yeah.
win. I hope it's Nora, even though I haven't seen the Brutalist. But it's just 3.5 hours. I just like if it wins, I'll watch it. But yeah, we'll see. And then Best Picture, we have Honora, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, June Part 2, Emilia Perez, I'm Still Here, Nickel Boys, The Substance, and Wicked.
For me, it would be between
Hmm.
Dune and Substance. I think, like, as much as I adore the Substance, it's hard not to pick Dune, as just
Hmm.
because of, as you said, it's not. It's incredible. He's incredible director, and the fact that he's not getting the nomination for that is insane. But
Hmm.
yeah, I think as a whole, as a movie, I'd be torn between the two of them.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I actually couldn't pick between the two of them which one I want to win. Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah. Substance was, yeah, one of the best movies I'd ever seen. But June 2 is probably, it probably is the best movie I've seen if I went back like in many many years. But yeah, I'd love to see an Aura win because I just love that film, and I think Sean Baker's a pretty cool director. Yeah, so we'll
Yeah,
see.
we'll
They're
see. We'll
on
see.
tomorrow night for us.
We'll see. Yeah, when we check in next week and it's a clean sweep
Wrong,
for
wrong,
Emilia
wrong.
Perez. Like, fuck.
Yeah. So,
I know we weren't going to talk about stuff we had because we've watched fuck all this week, but I did want to
yeah.
mention one quick one before we get on to the movie, if you don't
Mm,
mind. So I watched. This is one I was saying. This is The Presence, and I remember this came out around the same time as
mm,
one of the other ones. It might have been Love Hurts, but one of the shit ones that we did. And I remember messaging you saying we should have done The Presence instead. This Steven Soderbergh movie, which
yeah.
he directed all on on his phone or whatever. Man, I don't know why. Like, this has okay reviews. It's fucking shocking, man. I thought it was terrible. Like it's the whole family are just terrible people. Like it's not even nice people. Like it's basically this presence that's in the house, but it's bordering on comedy. It's like a high def version of Paranormal Activity. Like you're basically seeing the camera, the film, the camera follows them around the family the whole time, but it's the point of view of the presence that's in the house. That's what we're seeing.
Yeah.
So there's no really cool shots because it's just taken as if someone set a camcorder up in the corner and leaves it there. Or if someone walks up the stairs, it walks up after them or comes down behind them. But there's no
Oh wow.
hue or anything around it. It's just like normal, straight straight no filter recording, and it just looks so fucking awkward. The writing is shocking. Like it's pain. Like I love Lucy Liu, and I found myself just going, shut up. Like it was just, it's like. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think Steven Soderbergh has made any good movies since the late 90s. Like most of his movies have been fairly average since then. But yeah, I don't get why people enjoyed this so much. I thought it was shocking. But I just wanted to bring it up just because of the fact that I suggested we do it before.
Just get it off your chest,
Yeah, I'm glad that we didn't do it now because it was fucking bad.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, I'll definitely not check that out. So thanks for that. So right, let's get into our main event of the week. The absolute fucking abomination that is Highlander 2, The Quickening. Take it away, Billy.
Okay, yeah, as Daz says, this week we're doing Highlander 2. Man, this is going to be a shambles. I'm just going to tell you the format's going to be a little bit different. Usually we'll do our spoiler-free and then our spoiler stories and then the spoiler section and do it scene by scene. I'm not denying that. My notes are an absolute mess, or they just couldn't stop laughing and taking the piss out of it. So we're going to have no spoiler-free section. It's fully spoiler. The movie came out in 1991, so you should have seen it by now. And like, it's even if you want to go and staff for this, fair play to you. It's directed, and I say directed loosely, like by Russell Mulcahy, because like he directed the first one and he was making the second one, but like he lost complete creative control because like it was a whole thing was filmed in Argentina and they had some sort of like economic breakdown or whatever there, and like,
the currency fucking went to shit.
Like it's so all directive control and the direction of the movie, scenes, were all taken away from him, so although his name is on it, he walked out 15 minutes into the premiere. Like he hated it, everybody hated it, everybody continues to hate it. It's been this cult classic of people who watch it to take the piss, but like they just completely tried to change the whole lore, but everything from the first one we've set up. Like the Highlander and love for the first one was, it was all about these, immortals, and once you die, whatever age, you stay at that age, and that's how fucking Conor McLeod is the same for. I'm pretty sure I did that in the last episode as well. Conor McLeod is the same age, and fucking and supposedly, and so is Ramirez. But the thing in this one, they just completely change it. They're just like, oh no, you starts off kind of, okay, we're set in the year 2024. So in the year 1999, we have at the very start, Conor McLeod is the whole ozone layer, because it was such a panic around the ozone layer in the 80s and they're about just destroying the ozone layer. So they decided to play on this. The whole world is being destroyed by it. And so Conor McLeod and his mates, I don't know why Conor McLeod has become an expert in technology. They don't explain that.
Shields
like in the first movie, he has like an antique shop or something, but now he's able to create this. He creates this fucking beam thing that shoots up and it creates a shield around the planet that's going to protect the planet.
It makes no fucking sense
whatsoever. Which makes us like, why is he doing that? And then we get our flash forward to 2024, and as you remember from the first one, Conor McLeod is no longer immortal because he was the last one, the only one. Mm-hmm. He was now allowed to age and die, which is a shit prize. It really is a terrible prize. Your immortality exactly. Yeah, like unless you were really, really depressed and didn't want to live forever, you'd be like, fucking why? Why did The Last of Us 2 have an agreement not to chop each other's heads off, and then we can both live forever? Sort of.
Exactly.
But anyway. I'll just as I said, the directed by Russell Mulcahy, but barely, and then starring the usual Christopher Lambert, Sean Connery, Michael Ironside, Virginia Madsen, and a young John C. McGinley, who was putting on this voice the whole way through, which I don't know if this is inspiration for Dr. Cox or what. He put it on because apparently he said he wanted to sound like Orson Welles, and it just came off sounding shocking. But this one obviously absolutely tanked. Like 34 million was the budget. It made 16 million in the box office. It's terrible, and you can really tell like they were never going to make a sequel. The writer didn't want to make a sequel. The idea was that you had it. He was able to go and die, and that was it. We just didn't find out what happened to him. He just died peacefully, whatever. But then no, because they're making a sequel, they're like, okay, we have to think of a way to get him back young again, get shot. And then, of course, Lambert wanted Connery back in, so they fucking had to shoehorn him in, and he got paid 3 million for 6 days of work. Like, think about that. Think about that. Think about 3 million in 1991. Though.
Yeah, and all he does for most of it is just kind of sit around the plane or get a new suit and smoke and drink brandy.
React to things. Yeah, but he reacted to be amazed at some things that have happened since he died 500 years ago. Amazed at some stuff, but pretty chill about others. Like it's you know, there's no absolute panic attack. Like if you took someone that was like a tribe untouched by, you know, humanity or the rest of humanity,
15th century.
There's islands, there's cultures now that fucking, you know, they'll worship a plane flying over. They have no idea what the fuck it is. If you got one of them and plonked them in the middle of Dublin City, that poor bastard would have an absolute full-blown breakdown. What the fuck are all these cars and people and phones? They wouldn't know what anything was because they had no context. This is 500 years since this dope has been alive, and he seems to just be taking it all in jest and having the crack. It's just... It's mental.
Knows how to go to an airport and get a flight and where he gets his money from.
No passport neither. Like it's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing how far an earring.
The passport.
How far an earring can get you. Like it's bananas. But like this, the fact that the movie starts like that, and then at the very start of it, you can kind of go, okay, I get it. This is what the 2024 looks like now because he's built this and they had a big panic with ozone layer. Okay, Now what are they going to do? Are they going to, like, if you were watching the first movies back to back and didn't know anything about them, you're probably thinking, okay, well, are they going to bring new Highlanders into it or what the crack is? Because obviously he's old. Yeah. Then they go fucking left field. They just take a sharp turn, and fucking imagine going like someone going, imagine something completely random that we're just going to throw in here and someone goes aliens. Right, Graham, we'll go with that. So they just completely changed it. They go, right, now they just go to like 500 years ago.
From a planet.
Yeah, 500 years ago on the planet Zeist. They're like, what the fuck? And
remember when that came up and you're literally going, what the fuck are you talking about? What? They're aliens now? Is that just to get Sean Connery back in the fucking movie?
And you have to forget everything that you remember from the first one, because the first one, the quickening, was that fucking thing with after you chop someone's head, it's like getting all the power. You know, each time someone kills someone, they get the power of someone else. And but they changed the quickening in this. They changed it to Sean Connery has it, and he kind of shares it with McLeod when they're on this planet Zeist 500 years ago. And that means they'll be able to find each other when they're on the planet Earth. It's a bond between the two of them. It's like, what the fuck? Like, where are you getting this fucking shit from? Like, it's just...
In 500 years, you won't know anything. You won't know who you are. Just like...
And the way they lead into it is gas as well, because we have your man in the future, and old McLeod is sitting in this theater, and then he's kind of nodding off, and you hear a voice in his head saying, remember what we said, like we used to do 500 years ago, brother. Yeah. And he goes, yeah, I remember. And he's talking like inside his head to himself. And that's how we get this flashback. But it doesn't explain why these two lads named Juan Villa fucking Lobos Ramirez, like the most Spanish fucking sounding name or whatever. Why the fuck was he called Ramirez if he lives in the planet Zeist? This other guy comes from a clan MacLeod. There is a clan of these people in Scotland. We know he has a family. Yeah. He's grown up with people until he died and fucking stayed that age forever. How are you just saying? How can you just disregard?
Actually, he's not. He's from a different planet. Like, okay, that makes sense.
And none of that stuff happened. The stuff you think happened in the first one didn't happen. And the amazing thing is, when they made a Highlander 3, they called it Highlander 3, but they just ignored everything from this movie and just made it a sequel to the second one.
Everything, yeah. And then the fourth one, they did the same again. They went, actually, no. But the thing is, like with this fucking movie, because I knew I'd seen something like a scene that was not in this one. I'm just like, what the fuck? So I was looking up, and there's there's actually 4 versions of this fucking movie.
Yeah, there's like the Renegade
fucking
cut.
Wild.
Yeah,
but like there was like, in weird, because like the production was shut down by the Bond company that were funding it. They just started fucking the whole thing was like they can't go over the budget and they can't go over time like that. So they actually shut them down. They still had scenes to film, and they just said fuck it, and they kicked everyone out. And the Bond company brought in their editors. I don't know why the fuck they had editors, but brought them in to finish the movie. That's why fucking director and everything, Mulcahy is just like, fuck this, like, because when they saw the final version, they're just like he has said like the final version that they wanted to make wasn't any better anyway, but like that the version that released, like there was a UK version released in April of 91, and then the American version later on that year in like August and November 91. But that American version is the one that's on streaming and we see today. That the UK version that came out a few months earlier.
But it only had a few. It only had like 10 extra minutes though. But it only had like 10 extra minutes. So it wasn't like a.
But
it wasn't
like
changing.
that had scenes where they were like the fairy tale ending with, you know, McLeod and herself floating up into the air. I've seen a clip of that, and I've seen it, like he floats up into the air and takes her with him, and they just disappear, and he goes back to his fucking planet and stuff. But like in that UK version, we'll get to like some of the fight scene later on in the movie, but it's a crazy, like the fight scene in this version that we've seen, that everyone's pretty much seen. It's two fight scenes put together, and you'll see it when you get to it, because he's he's wearing a trench coat, and the next scene he's in another room and he's just wearing a fucking bomber jacket or something. What the fuck is going on? So there's a whole, people say like there's about 20 minutes of the video of the between those two fights, that in this version it's not there, because like the UK version they were allowed, the distribution company allowed them to put extra scenes in. But then that Renegade cut that you were saying, that filmmakers and actors return to finish some of the movie on it. It's called like the director's cut or whatever. And that Renegade version removed all the stuff about the mention of Zeus and them being aliens and everything. And it's completely, they just kind of went, no, we'll fix that. And it's just made it even more of a fucking mess of this fucking disaster. And then 2004, I've seen the one in 2004 where they got additional funds just to fix some of the visual effects, mainly to make the shields that you can see. It's all the effects in this are unfinished. It's a red shield, and like, but the hue in all the movies like all blue. It's like there's no red coming from anywhere. So the 2004 version, they went, okay, yeah, we'll change that red shield up in the sky, change it to blue, and just like, yeah, well, thanks for that, but it doesn't fucking do anything with shit show of a fucking movie. So some people have only seen the Renegade version, and they're kind of like going, "What the fuck are you talking about, Planet Zeist?" Just going, "Oh, fucking."
What is like? What an absolute like an abs. I mean, the story about the movie is way more interesting than the movie itself. Like it's absolutely bananas. But then look, we'll build through it and just kind of jump into us and so like the thing, that whole thing that we just mentioned, though, about the different, how is there no mention of their previous lives on Earth? We've ignored the fact that we have. How did they think they could get away with that? Is beyond me, and why they have fucking names, Scottish and Spanish names, is nuts. And then, actually, what do you think of the scene? Right, there's a scene near the start, so they've got the shield set up, and there's this group led by Virginia Madsen who want to break in. I think it's a group called Cobalt or something like that.
Yeah.
Because we keep getting the news story giving us fucking exposition for everything, and voiceover, like radio things playing in the background giving us fucking exposition for everything. But their break into this thing is the least inconspicuous thing ever. Like they fire the
zip lines, lines going down, and the covert operation by these fucking things. By the way, Virginia Madsen, her character in this scene, she completely changes after this. She sees, McLeod, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm a damsel in distress." She's a fucking some kind of military covert operations specialist in this fucking thing. But their whole plan is to like, we're going to fire these fucking zip lines, and they've all got their cool fucking kind of
motorbike helmets again.
With kind of cameras
like
put on.
They're like BMX helmets, I think, with stuff glued to them, like basically.
But they fire their fancy zip lines down, and they have to get past these guards standing on a walkway that you see are patrolling past each other, and you also see one of them just happens to have his back turned as these guys two at a time going down the zip line for fucking ages. And it's like someone would have seen to see them. Like,
they're not even hitting, they didn't even come from below it. Like it literally comes like fucking down up high along some weird waterfall thing, which is the most interesting looking part of the scenery. That's where your eyes would be drawn no matter who you are. To see these fucking lads, these lads hooked up and going flying down on their little fucking on their little zip wire. Like
you'd have to go out of your way. You'd have to go out of your way not to see them. It's like a video game where you see people passing each other and just like, all right, now they're doing this pattern passing. Now we go past. It's just like, it's impossible. You can't see these guys. It's just,
but you know what's great?
That's what we're working with.
In that scene is this brilliant bit in the background. So like they're trying to break into the base where the shield is head, and there's one guard who's standing there looking off, obviously not seeing them all coming in. And he's just standing on a sign, and below the sign it just says, "The Shield." As if we didn't know it. It's just big white letters in the black yoke, just big, "The Shield." Like, yeah, we know. They've already mentioned where they're breaking into. Why would it just be called that? It's just brilliant. But yeah, as you said, they do break in. They do a bit of fucking low budget fucking sci-fi stuff in there to try and blow the thing up or shut it down or whatever. and that's all over the news. But when we cut to the next part, which is what's his face in the bar, he's in like a cafe or a bar or whatever. Old McLeod talking to Jimmy, or whatever the fuck his name is, the guy behind the bar. That bloke's lines, I think two of his lines he says facing the camera. Everything else is ADR'd, and you can see fully from the side. His mouth isn't moving or anything. Just throwing in lines like it's The Room. You know, it's absolute. It's fucking shocking. Like, oh hi, Mark.
But that's like you start to get a sense of, I guess, where most of the budget went, apart from Sean Connery. But like the sets, like obviously they're kind of going like, oh well, the world is fucked, and you know it's really hot and people are sweating all the time. There's no fucking sun, and just it's the humidity.
But their explanation for that,
and stuff like
the explanation to explain why they're still driving cars and stuff from the late 90s and stuff. Yeah. Their explanation, is basically because there's no sun and all the rest of it. Everybody reverted back to the old ways, using the old technology, so then they don't have to explain. That's their explanation.
There's no future cars,
because this is like set in 2024 essentially, and I suppose there's parts of Dublin that did look like that. It did look like that in 2024, probably. But it's such a lazy ass way of explaining why there's no fucking what movies back then had us all flying cars and shit. You know what I mean? Like,
but some of the set is like some of the sets are quite decent, like the streets setting and stuff. It's obviously a backlot or whatever, but you can see that's where they've put a lot of the money in to kind of go, all right, try and make this look like this kind of grim Gotham-esque looking fucking place. But it's a miserable fucking place. But
that's slow, and that with the one with the slowest moving train of all time, it passes through it. Like, it's kind of, I think as well, like, because so we know that what's his face, Katana is Michael Ironside, right? And he gets a fancy name because he wasn't in the first one. He gets a name, Katana, like named after, obviously just named after the sword, probably. But he's the one, because the lads have been banished to Earth for being whatever. What did they say at the start in Planet Zeiss? Were they part of a rebellion or some shit like that they get banished back to Earth?
But they never fully, like this, like at the start there is that kind of intro into fucking Planet Zeiss and all this kind of stuff, but it's still, you spend some time there, but it's still not quite clear, like where's Sean Connery and him, were they part of resistance? Were they like, why are they banished? And when they're banished, their punishment is to be sent to a planet where they're going to be immortal.
But they're already immortal. They're already immortal on their planet. Because at the start, I was like, oh, because they make it sound like it's a new, like say, Superman. Superman doesn't have magic superpowers on his planet, but when he lands on Earth, he does. And like when they talk about them, they say they have their priests and whatever before they send them back, and they're like, oh, when you go there, you will be immortal, and you'll only be able to die if someone chops your head off. But they're obviously still immortal on that planet because it's 500 years past, and Michael Ironside still looks exactly the same as he did when they were banished. So they are immortal on that planet as well. So why would they even need to know the word immortal? They should know.
Someone said this I was trying to look up a Reddit thing to see if about the different versions or something, and there was no even subreddits about this fucking shit show of a movie, but someone said, and I didn't pick it up in the movie, it might have been one of the other versions, that like time moves slower on their planet than our planet. So actually it makes even less sense that like when Michael Ironside decides to come find McLeod, and because he arrives or sends his goons there, makes him immortal again. It's like if you just waited another 20 minutes on your planet, McLeod would be dead because he's about 100. He's ready to die. He's happy days. And now, why did you pick that moment to go and try and find him? It's just like and now you've set him up to be immortal again. But again, that's not explained whatsoever. It's another one of these things where the different aspects of different versions put together. The things that are missing don't make any sense because when they make a point of going, you will be immortal. And that's what you're going, but aren't you 500 years old? So it is. There's a time dilation thing,
right? Okay, I thought they were already. I thought they were already immortal. But like, it's as well as that. That like he could have checked in at any time as well, because the transport from one planet Zeist to Earth is instantaneous. Like it's a quick whoop, and they just appear on Earth. So any time in the last 500 years, you could have just checked in and go, actually, no, he said he's grand. Hop in and ask him how he's getting on. He's like, yeah, grand. The last one here killed him. I'm just gonna head off and die now. Grand. Yeah. It just to make, and yeah, it just throws the rule out the window. But when rather than coming back first himself, he sends back these two lads.
Oh, stop! Like
The lads.
bird
But
fucking guys.
is it explain why they've got like porcupine spikes on the back of their head? Right? They just kind of they have weird cackling, laughing bastards. Like it's. And it's hilarious because before McLeod even kills one of them, he's moving like a fucking like a 30s, 40-year-old dude. Like he's got fucking movement. He's supposed to be ancient, like struttering, but the minute he starts to fight, he's fucking bopping around. You can tell it's just a young dude in makeup because he's fucking.
He still has all the moves, like, but their hoverboard thingies are just like.
Yeah, well, this is obviously somebody's trying to do. This is 2 years after Back to the Future 2. You know what I mean? Like that came in 89.
Yeah.
So this is 100%. They just someone saw Back to the Future 2, but like it's not that the hoverboards are as ridiculous as the guy who's flying. Because they have wings on the dude he's supposedly flying, and you can tell that he's being swung from a crane above because his move is to
see the wires in a few
up,
shots as well.
But they just keep showing the turn because he goes up and does the whole apex thing and then swings back down and then up into the end, and it's just a dude above him with a crane just swinging him back and forth.
But it's one of those where you just like the one part of that you shouldn't show is the turn. As he slows down in midair hovering, and they're just like, all right, we're just going to turn you around again. Whee! He's just like, don't show that part. That's fucking awful looking, and it goes on forever. That bit that with the last guy, it's just like he flies past him again, he hits him with one strike with the sword, and then he goes off, he turns around again, he goes back again. They do that about 9 times. It's just like, oh man, I know this in somebody's head or on the script, this is going to be fucking amazing. Like, yeah, he comes down, he's flying, they got hoverboards, it's going to be a fight and all this kind of stuff, but it goes on for so fucking long, and it's
there is one. I did laugh out loud at one part, right? So he's, and I mean for the right reasons, not because it was terrible, but like there's a dude standing by like a phone box, and he looks up and he's obviously out of it. And he looks up and he sees the dude flying and goes, "Hey, have you got a light? Why would you do that? Why is your man even flying? Now, why is that not coming into your head first?" Anyway, this time flying and goes, "Hey, you got a light in your man?" And the guy just took a gun, shoots him, and blows him up, and just goes on fire. And I thought that was funny. But yeah, after he kills them, one of them gets his head run over by the slowest moving train, and then the other dude, he ends up decapitated. He's flying at him, and he pulls a fucking yoke across and decapitates him, and he gets electrocuted. It's shocking, but
and that quickening effect when the lightning's coming out and it's hitting the cars and stuff, I thought that was fucking brilliant. Like it's searching for somebody or whatever, and the lightning's coming out and hitting car lights and blowing them up or whatever, and then searching its way across the fucking ground to find McLeod. I thought that's fucking cool. It's like that is it's like the lightning has some purpose. Like, where are you? And then he gets hit by it, and it's just like orgasm central. Like, yeah, it's just fucking ridiculous.
But because the first one that happens is like, if this is just a thing that, because in the first one it would make sense, you get the fucking power after killing that. But in this one, they're saying that's not the case anymore. Quickening is something different. It's their bond between the two of them. So like, why is he needing that anyway? So he decapitates both of them. The first time he decapitates the first guy, he just gets the power. Then he decapitates the second guy. This time he screams out, Ramirez! And somehow during this weird fucking lightning orgasm, this fucking makes Ramirez come back to life. It summons him back from the dead. He appears in Scotland. Yeah. And is like, what the fuck am I doing here? He's there doing Hamlet on a plane. He shows up and he's joking with them and stuff. And it's just there's no reason why. Like we're at this point we're waiting for it. We don't know how he's come back. At this point we're waiting for an explanation as to how that actually happened, because he just shouts his name and all of a sudden he appears like magically out of anywhere. And
just to like the end of that alleyway scene before that, when he becomes young again. And then Virginia Madsen, or Louise, whatever her name is, her character, she's been hiding in a bin because she wants him to bring down the shield or whatever like that. But she is turned when he becomes young McLeod again after the quickening.
Oh yeah, they just start.
She just changes character straight away, and she's like, "Oh my god," whatever, and totally like fucking late 80s, early 90s writing by fucking coked up screenwriters. In fucking Hollywood, just going, yeah, she just sees him, and then they just start fucking shifting. Fair enough. But like in the UK version with those extra scenes, they bang in the alley straight away. Like,
get away, really?
It's just fucking. It's just like, oh my god, what an amazingly written character there. You know what I mean? She's this badass kind of fucking sneaking into some fucking facility. The very next scene, she sees a young fucking Highlander and fucking fucks him in an alleyway. It's just like, what the fuck
it's
is
such
going
a
on
lazy
here?
way of explaining. Isn't it such a lazy way of explaining it as well? Though now that he's killed someone, now he goes back to being immortal again, but at the original immortal age, not the age he is
now he's
now.
young
Like,
again.
yeah,
Young
great.
heart
Yeah,
Lambert.
that 100% that makes perfect sense. But when he goes to, I think it's like so. In the meantime, we find out that the whole this corporation have taken over control of the Shield, and it's all making money and keeping the people under their thumb. And there's a lot of any scenes that they're in, and actually a lot of the rooms is all about someone's decided light coming through and shadows and silhouettes is the way to go. There's the same lighting technique
that
in
office,
every scene.
yeah,
The giant
it's
fan.
brilliant.
There's an office with
giant
a giant
fan and a light in every scene. But that office place where his mate when he goes to see him, like from it, it's like old school fucking lighting. Like it's super harsh lighting, but it's just giant fucking fan coming through and all the kind of Venetian blinds and stuff, and it just looks fucking brilliant. It's mad, it's wild, but it's like so inventive.
It looks cool, but why?
Why? Bananas, absolutely bananas. But I just love that fucking. It's just someone going, like. It's not just bland lighting where you're just Marvel movie these days where just light it all flat and stuff.
They've taken it from Blade Runner. That's what it looks like.
Blade Runner, 100%. But it just looks fucking cool. It makes no sense, but looks gorgeous.
Well, actually, the next part, right? That's because you mentioned your man Katana, right? So he comes back. He comes back down comes back to Earth, his first time on Earth, whatever. And he goes through, and it's his first time. And when he lands, he says, "Well, I sure don't look like Kansas." Like, why is he making a Wizard of Oz joke? How would he even know what Wizard of Oz is? Like, he doesn't even know McLeod is happy and is happy to go ahead and die. He doesn't know anything. Yet he's making pop culture references, and he makes a few of them. Like, when he's on the subway train and he forces it to go faster and crashes it, and he simply goes, "Last stop." It's like, what? You don't even know what a train is. Why would you? Like, it doesn't. But he pops it. There's loads of lines like that are real. Kind of quippy, kind of real 80s quippy kind of jokes, and
because he's in the taxi
like that
as well. When he's in the taxi driver, and taxi driver is like, "Yeah, man, you look like you must be a musician or some shit," and then he fucking fires his sword through the front windscreen. The taxi driver just nonsense stuff. Just like, "Yeah, man, yeah, that's fucking amazing." Just what the fuck is going on here? But then Michael Ironside, he smashes the window. Like when the taxi stops and you're going, "All right, what's he going to do? Some weird fucking thing. He doesn't know how a door works." But then he just opens the door afterwards and gets out and he goes, "Here, there's your tip." And just like, well, how the fuck do you know what a tip is? What's happening here? Are you from this planet? Like, it's just fucking, the choices are just bananas. Everyone just doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. Like, the taxi driver is a lunatic, but
I give you the height
makes no sense.
Like, it's obviously lazy as fuck, right? And that the way they decorate stuff and make it look dingy and run down. But when we get Scotland, when we get to see the next part, which is Ramirez walking into a tailor to get dressed, he wants to go into buy some suits. They didn't even bother to make it look futuristic. It looks exactly like a tailor in Scotland would have looked in 1991 when this movie was made. Like, they didn't even try to change it up, make them look like fancier looking suits, which they always used to do in the 80s. They basically just remove the collar for everything out suits, so it looked slightly different and futuristic, make it shiny. They just look exactly like they just filmed it in a regular tailor shop. And the way he gets all these clothing, he's like, "Well, I haven't got any money." He's like, "Well, this is quite an expensive place for gentlemen." But he goes, "Well, what about this?" And he takes up and hands him an earring, and the man's like, "Yeah, okay, no worries. We'll get you suits. We'll get you a limo. We'll get you whiskey while you're sitting there." Like, how the fuck? How have you appraised this earring? This random old dude just walked in your shop, took it off, and you went, "Yep, this looks like it's probably worth a few million." Like, it's bananas. Like, again, when they're talking about flying,
how do we get A to B? How do we get John to here to fucking New York, wherever the fuck he is? Like, and how does he know where he's going? Like, he lands in fucking Scotland and goes through Taylor, and then, as you say, with no passport, goes up on a flight, and the fucking visual effects of the plane shot, where the plane just seems to be hovering in the air as the camera is shakily going past this awful model. The model, like, it's just nonsense with the shield in the background. It's just, even just on the cutting room floor, this should be right there with everything else shitty in this movie. Just like, how did an editor not go, "Yeah, we could probably just do without this shot. Like, you don't need to show this fucking awful visual effects." And then he's just chilling on the fucking plane and beside some fucking weirdo, and it's just.
But again,
very strange.
the bizarre choices, the safety video that he watches, like he's sitting there.
Oh, that is the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
So it's basically a screen that they've put into what's supposed to be the back of a seat. Like it's just
it's an awful prop.
It's like a load of like brown, like fucking what's it called, Band-Aid tape or something.
Yeah. It's not even the color of the seats.
No, it's and he's watching this safety video and it's fucking nuts when it's like in a case of emergency and there's fucking things exploding, people are screaming on the plane, take a mask down. It just shows fucking people on the plane panicking and going absolutely fucking nuts.
Gasping for air, and then it shows the plane crashing into a mountain. So wear your safety belt.
Thank you for flying with us. Like it's nuts.
It belongs in a fucking RoboCop movie or satire or something. It's just bananas.
I wonder, is it the case that he knew that McLeod, because McLeod's so famous, for being the guy who built it, did he just look up McLeod and someone said, "Oh, McLeod, they must be talking about Connor McLeod. He's over in the States." I mean, I wonder is that what it is? I don't know.
I don't know, yeah.
But yes, because when he makes it over there, they're both super chill. Like neither of them are freaked out. Like they're joking about the fact that he had his head chopped off 500 years ago. He makes a couple of jokes about it as well. Like when he puts a sword up to his neck and he starts, but they just seem completely kind of completely cool with the fact that okay, he died 500 years ago. How are you not more freaked out? How are you not more freaked out to see him? Like it's
like they haven't seen each other for like 2 weeks or something. It's like, hey, how are you? Hey, that was a great fucking party we had back then. No, your head was chopped off. It's been 500 fucking years.
Yeah, and, they just kind of laugh. They just kind of laugh about it.
But I remember like this point, like because when he arrives and they have their little fight in his gaff or whatever. Remember kind of going, oh, okay, yeah, now they're back together. And I remember just checking the runtime, and there's only 20 minutes left.
yeah.
Just when he gets here, you're just kind of going, all right, that's the first half of the movie. You're just like, fucking hell, how long is it taking to get here? But speaking of just good fucking shots, there's a shot in that gaff where it is the spiral staircase, and your one Louise is walking up spiral staircase, and it's just camera's looking straight down. But as she starts walking up, the camera starts kind of rotating around kind of the opposite way that she's walking. It's just fucking, you just going, that's a fucking great shot. Like it's really difficult setup, difficult rigging and all that, and it looks fantastic. And then straight away after that, it's more fucking nonsense. But it's just a nice fucking shot.
Did you notice actually just on the stuff that they've kind of I picked up, and this is off the topic of what you're talking about, Des, but they mention it's a kind of magic. The Queen song. They say that line. Two or three times. Yeah, they meant to just squeeze it into the conversation a few times. It's the kind of, like, hang on a second, is this, you're like, this is obviously the music they had in the trailer, or something for it. Like, why are multiple people saying this? Like, and then it's like with a little bit of a wink. It's a kind of magic. Yeah, we get it. It's but like, right. So we guys. So the whole thing is, Cloud has talked to his mate, as you said, the other, and he said, "Look, you know what? The ozone layer is actually starting to repair itself. We may not need it anymore." Blah blah blah. But the corporation don't want people to know that. They want to keep the fucking the shield up because I don't know why they're making money out of it, but they are.
Yeah, and this is one of those things where in the scenes that are missing, that. In two different versions, like he goes up with him, that guy, and he goes in another version of the movie, he goes up with Louise. They go up through a stairs in a mountain and open the top, and they're on top of the shield, and they can see that everything's grand again. It's just like, it's quite important that, and actually this seemed before when Louise is asking McLeod like about Brenda, about pictures that she's seen in his gaff, like who's that in that picture, and he's like, oh, that's Brenda, my first wife or whatever.
Recent
wife, his first wife and his most recent wife, but they didn't put in the scene of her seeing the pictures. That scene isn't in the fucking movie, so it makes no context. But there's like at the start of the movie in the UK version, there's a scene where Brenda is dying from radiation poisoning, and she asks McLeod, find a way to learn about this and fix it or do something, make that right. You're and that's his motivation for, that's my mission, I'm going to solve this. Again, very important. Motivation for him to become a very smart fucking shield ozone scientist.
For those of us listening, like if those who haven't seen the first one, Brenda is the girl from the first movie, right? And she's But so as I said, your man, they're trying to the O's and lows definitely has healed,
Mm.
and but Blake is now he's locked up your man. He's locked up his mate. He doesn't want it to get out into the public. But when they go to this is probably my favorite part of the movie is they decide Louise and Connor and Ramirez decide, right, let's break into the bad guy base. And the way they break in, and this is cool because they basically this now obviously incredibly dangerous by sticking her into the fucking boot of the car, but they drive her into the boot of the car.
Been murdered. Yeah.
The two lads are in the car, and they drive into the base knowing full well that it's going to hurt. They're going to get riddled with bullets, but they're going to be fine. And that's what happens. The car gets fucking milled. But it's cool because they're in the car and they're fucking proper. The blast cap things are going off. They're getting
pretty fucking gruesome. Like they get
it's like
annihilated.
Yeah, it's like RoboCop stuff. You know what I mean? It's properly bam, bam, bam. They get absolutely what do they call those things? The packs, the little
squibs.
Packs.
Yeah,
squibs. Yeah, they're fucking pop all over them. They're absolutely riddled. The two of them are brown bread in the car, and the car's shot to shit. And then they go and they check the boot, and Louise is in there, luckily unharmed. She's like, "Oh, these guys, they kidnapped me." I was like, "Hang on a second. Don't people know about you? I think pretty sure your name was mentioned on the news. People know
picture of you on the news.
You're not just some random chick." But it's weird. They get her anyway, and they bring her back, and they bring the two lads into the morgue, and then she's like, the two of them come back from the dead, and the mortician faints because of course he does when he sees the two lads. It's just. And so now that they're in the base, they have to get up and they want to go disable the shield. And the way they do that, when they get into that fucking
the fan room,
the fan room. There's a fan come down above them, and again,
cinematic history, man.
I think they. So he uses his magic, and I think he says it's the kind of magic again. But he's used his magic to lift up the giant fan so that the Louise and Connor
see the room like when you watch it again, like the fan spinning down to get them or whatever, and the door locks behind them. But like the room they're in, they didn't pick a concrete room. There's a load of like metal vents around the side, like really really thin little metal vents. So I smashed one of them to get out. Just even the prop room was fucking awful. But like when he, I don't know why or how he gets that power when Sean Connery suddenly gets the quickening power and his hand starts glowing and like I'm going to raise the fan or whatever. But like then like this Scottish bagpipes come in, Amazing Grace, and it's like he's not Scottish, he's a fucking Egyptian.
He's an Egyptian with a Spanish name. Yeah.
It's just like
Amazing Grace and the bagpipes. Just absolutely amazing. Yeah.
But when he starts to raise it and then he just goes, will I ever see you again? And just like he's obviously using his power to, I can summon all my life force to save us from this fan. He goes, will I ever see you again? He goes, who knows? And then behind them, the door just goes, pop! The door just opens. Like, who opens the fucking door? Could you not just open the door with your magic power?
All three you could have been in there, yeah. But then he disappears into like a light, like he disappears into like a beam of light or whatever. He goes up to I don't know, is it Highlander heaven or whatever the fuck he disappears to? Yeah. It's like he doesn't get killed or torn apart or anything. He just disappears and becomes made of light and disappears. But yeah, so so anyway, the now Katana, of course, who is in league with the company for whatever reason. I'm not sure why they have this alliance. Why he makes an alliance with them with these.
Yeah,
with the guys. Like
that whole company, it's such a throwaway thing that just like they just don't want the shield to come down because they're profiting from it some way, shape, or form that's never even gone into in any version of the movie. And then he wants to make an alliance with them. And the throwaway about like the reason they can keep the shield there is that we don't have enough power on the planet to stop it or to turn off the shield. It's like, what the fuck is that? Like, you've got to come up with a better line, right?
But they need that to explain why Connor's able to turn it down, because when Connor, he uses all the combined energy of the quickening that he has now that what's his face is gone, and he uses that to disable the shield, and then of course the world then can see it. So they have to say that's how much power he's got, that we haven't got enough power on Earth to shut it down, but he can use his magic quickening, which just seems to change what it is from scene to scene, can now be used, and he shuts down the shield, and then the world can see sees the sky, sees the night sky that's been hidden from them for so long. It's
but that final fight when he's fighting what the fuck Michael Ironside, what's this Katana, and it's like they fight in a like an abandoned dome at the start, and it looks fucking rubbish. And there's music going on here that it's like there's like an electric guitar kind of riff playing over kind of a cinematic action mix, and it's like what the fuck? It's like someone just playing two bits of music over each other that don't correlate or do justice to anything in the fucking scene. It's just it's awful. But like their fight is apparently this is where they said that there is a fight, and then he falls down the elevator shaft and then gets away or whatever, and then he goes off and does some other shit, and obviously has a change of clothes and goes to see the shield or something, and comes back and fights him again. But that section they hadn't finished filming yet, so when those Bond editors came in, they said, "Well, we'll just put them together." So like, so he changed his jacket.
It's a costume change.
One shot to the other, and it's just such a like, you know, the first one isn't an amazing movie either, but the fact that we only get that one sword fight between Ramirez and McLeod in his apartment, that's a friendly thing, and that's the first time there's been any choreography of any sort.
Oh yeah, sure. At one point he's running along. Yeah, at one point he's running along with a machine gun. Like they're going in, and he's got like an assault rifle. An
action movie for about 4 minutes, and it's fucking shocking. Like, but the fact that that scene is just absolutely awful. It then when he walks into the thing and fucking destroys the shield, and then like it just shows the editors that fucking did this first movie where they stop it on a fucking freeze frame of him smiling. It's just like, is this Family Ties? Like, what's going on? He might as well have his thumbs up going, yeah, this freeze frame and the world is fucking saved. It's like, it's hilarious. But the ending, the fairy tale ending, stick it up online. It's fucking brilliant because he's standing there and he's like, look at the moon. That's my planet over there. And then she turns around and she says, what is he doing? And he floats up and there's just a shot of him against the sky and he's just floating in the air for some reason. And he starts to vanish and she goes, oh, yeah. And
he brings her with him, doesn't he? Yeah.
Come with me. And then for some reason she starts to rise up and then she starts turning and vanishing. And it's like, what the fuck is going on? But it's a far better ending than this fucking freeze frame nonsense.
I mean, barely though. Like it's
barely. Or it's less rubbish. Yeah.
It's an absolute shambles of a movie. It really is. Like I don't even like. I suppose it is one I kind of recommend watching just because it's only 83 minutes long or 86 minutes long or something. And it's just to look at start to finish. Yeah, it is just baffling to go, how in God's name was this released? Like it's baffling to me it even made 16 million. Like it obviously only made that money off the back of the first one. But
the thing was, the first one and then this one, and then after this one, then like there was a Highlander series that ran for 6 years, 92.
Yeah.
Like 120 episodes. I didn't fucking know that.
Cousin. Yeah, it's his cousin, Duncan McLeod.
Duncan. Yeah, I remember. And then there was Highlander 3 that got 5% in Rotten Tomatoes. This has 0%. 3 had 5% Rotten Tomatoes. There's
a few. There's a bunch of different
stuff as well.
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of movies, a bunch of random shit like animated
I didn't know
stuff.
that it spanned so much fucking time, but but the director went on. I was checking it out. Went on to have he had pretty shit movies before this. He had a couple of decent music videos, but he went on to make The Shadow.
Yeah. Resident Evil Extinction, I think. Resident Evil
3 and Scorpion King 2. So yeah.
Oh, fuck's sake. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but this is it's a shocking movie in every way. It's not even that like it's made poorly. It's just behind the scenes, as you said. It's more interesting reading what the fuck happened with this and why there's so many different fucking versions of this movie. Yeah, wild.
Well, look, anyway, it's done now, and we don't have to talk about it again. So, thanks, Matt. Cheers for that.
Next week, it's Highlander 3. So, no. Thanks for taking us through that film.
We actually have got a good run of decent stuff over the next few weeks, I think. There's Mickey 17, and there's Electric State, and a few other things like that are coming out that should be decent to review.
Happy days. Thanks for taking us through that. Delighted to never watch that again. So that's an end to this week's episode. We will be back next week with Mickey 17 review and some more bits and bobs. Thanks a million for everyone for sharing and liking, subscribing, and all of the above. And we'll catch you on the next one. Take it easy.
See ya.